Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for race 2A of Barcelona. We do come around the final corner, and it was ERS Chromatics who took pole position with a 1:52 flat, so he will lead them away as the lights turn green. So Chromatics is the race leader, but he already looks to be out of position because FRT Ant has got the jump on him right around the outside and is being challenged by MSX also, so they all pile into turn one. There's a Ferrari being squeezed right through the middle there. Do they all get through turn one cleanly? Let's stay on board and see what happens with ERS Chromatics. So he does hold on to that second place then, and FRT Ant has got the jump. Ibuprofen has got a drive through, so he must have had a start line infringement unfortunately, and we do have AJ to the P back for another race. So he romped away in race number one. He was almost, I think it was 90 seconds ahead of everybody else. He almost had a full lap up on the whole field. Of course there was only 6 finishers due to all these connection issues that we've been seeing this week. Something we can't control unfortunately, but we are here for race 2A of Barcelona for a 100-minute race, and it is FRT Ant who got the break on ERS Chromatics. So he's already 1.3 seconds up the field as that gap does just reset itself, and the gap's coming down to half a second then. So Chromatics has settled himself and he's closing in on Ant now. Tribal is there in third in the Ferrari. He's had a good start. DNA Tuccio, we haven't seen him in an SOP Motorsport event for a while, but he is back in the Porsche machine, leading THKKR, Prozac, Marky Marks, MSX, Murcielago and JJ Penguin make up the top 10 on this opening lap then. T-Sar Bobby is there in 11th, closely followed by Brandon, who's looking for a move up the inside into the king. Texas MC, AJ to the P, and then we have Ibuprofen and Mr. Wilson bringing up the rear of the field in the 222 Lamborghini. He's already coming into the pits it seems, so he's not a happy bunny with that one. And MSX is also in then, so a couple of early pit stops for these guys straight away on lap 1. But it is FRT leading the way in this rainy race around Barcelona. The night will draw in on these guys. The race start time was 7 PM. By the time they finish, it's going to be around 10:30. So it will be dark, it will be gloomy, it will be rainy, and it will all depend on how these guys handle these types of conditions. But Chromatics is definitely piling on the pressure now. He's all over the back of Ant. Tribal's just keeping tabs on these guys in front then, so he's just watching what's going on as there's almost a 5-second gap back to DNA Tuccio, and he's got this massive train of cars behind him then. DNA Tuccio is defending his lines, and he's got THKKR followed by Prozac, Marky Marks, Murcielago, JJ Penguin and T-Sar Bobby. There's a train of cars here then, so they're all running in unison from 4th to 10th. As look at that dive straight up the inside then, that gold BMW from Prozac. What a fantastic move up the inside of DNA Tuccio, as he's lost 2 places in one straight because THKKR and Prozac were all over him like a rash there, and DNA Tuccio is also coming into pressure from Marky Marks right now, so if he's not careful he's going to find himself right outside of the top 10 in a short space of time. So one to watch there, ladies and gentlemen. Murcielago is the next one behind in the Bentley machine, followed by JJ Penguin in the Mercedes. You've got T-Sar Bobby and AJ to the P then already up into 11th place, looking to challenge for that top 10 position. Currently we are only 5 minutes into this race, but AJ to the P looking for a way up the inside into turn 1. Will he get the move done? Not this time round. He will slot behind the rear end of that Ferrari as they make a way up through turn 1 and 2. Around turn 3 they go, as we got Prozac off. We will go on board with Prozac, the BMW. Oh, everybody's off then. Prozac, DNA, Marky Marks has got away from that clean. Murcielago also. So we've lost a couple of guys then. I wonder what happened there. That is very unfortunate. Prozac made a fantastic move to get past Tuccio, and he found himself facing the wrong way in round turn 3, ladies and gentlemen. Brandon is there as well, Tisar, Bobby. So these guys still all lapping very close together. THKKR has made a break on that field, so he's away and gone then. He's got 2.8 seconds on Marky Marks currently. Those top 4 then are pulling away. Marky Marks has picked up P5 in all of that palaver, but Murcielago was there in 6th also. You got JJ Penguin up into 7th, so a massive shuffle mid-pack early on in this race. We're only 6 minutes into this race and we've already had spinners. But it is going to be Marky Marks that is leading the train of cars here. Marky Marks from Murcielago, JJ Penguin, AJ to the P, up into 8th place then, as Texas MC is following closely behind in that golden blue Porsche machine. A lot of these guys are having a change of livery. Something we're not used to seeing as AJ comes into the pits then. He's making his first mandatory pit stop. It is 2 mandatory pit stops in this 100-minute race. So AJ making a very early pit stop this time around. He did go long in race 1. He's decided to play the short game in race 2. So ERS Chromedix, I've missed that, ladies and gentlemen, as I was following that battle mid-pack, but Chromedix has found his way past FRT Ant, and FRT Ant has got RTI Tribal in his rearview mirror, so he is defending for all his might, and Chromedix is just pulling away from this trio of cars, battling it out for the lead. RTI Tribal looking to make a move up the inside of FRT. We're right on board with these guys as they come round the fast sweeping right-hander. We will see who gets the better exit. Does Tribal have it in his armory to make a move up the inside into the chicane? He hasn't got the legs this time round, so we will go back to THKKR. THKKR's got 4 seconds to Marky Marks then, so he found his way through all the palaver that was happening behind, and Marky Marks is there also pulling away from JJ Penguin, so Murcielago has dropped it then. Murcielago is now the one falling down the field, so it's all changed in the first 10 minutes. We have yet more yellow flags being waved. Who is that facing the wrong way? It's Mr. Wilson in the Lamborghini. He's not having a happy day as Mr. Wilson facing the wrong way at the chicane. Prozac is there, into the pits he comes, and he's got his stop and go penalties, so he is not having the best of days as Prozac. I'm not sure where it went wrong for him. Round turn 3, he didn't quite catch it, but he was facing the wrong way. He's coming to the pits. It looked like he was making an early pit stop, and he has picked up a stop-go penalty infringement. Exiting that pit lane, so he must have not been on the limiter coming out of that pit lane. Unfortunately, DNA Tuccio also has just come out of the pits, but it hasn't registered as a mandatory pit stop complete, so I'm not sure what's going on with those guys. AJ to the P and MSX then, these two are the guys that have made their the first mandatory pit stop. So MSX is leading AJ to the P. MSX trying out the Nissan GTR for a change. He was a McLaren man for a long time. He looks to be settled in that pink GTR machine. As ERS Chromedix then, he took pole position. He's done a 152 flat, so he was half a second off AJ's pole time in race number 1, but he did grab pole in race number 2, and he is now 2.8 seconds ahead of FRT Ant after he made a very poor start then. So FRT Ant got the jump on him at the beginning of this race, and he was looking to lose another position to MSX, who had a fantastic start, but he sat patiently behind FRT Ant, and he's made his way past, and he is now pulling away from FRT Ant, who has also pulled away from RTI Tribal. So there your top 3. And they've got quite a substantial gap to THKKR because there was a fantastic, massive battle going on behind as that gold BMW machine of Prozac just gets it onto the gravel ever so slightly. He does have a stop-go penalty. He will have 3 laps to serve that one. But Marky Marks in 5 seconds adrift then of THKKR is slowly being caught by JJ Penguin then, who's also got Texas MC right behind him. It's not Texas MC, I do apologise, it's Mr. Wilson, who is already being lapped by these guys. So JJ Penguin and Marky Marks doing battle for 5th place. Those yellow machines of the Porsche and the Mercedes. As we have just completed 10 minutes of this race, Texas MC is there in 7th place. Quite a lot of Porsches in this race, 4 Porsches to be precise. Murcielago is there in 8th place in the number 107 machine. Tizar Bobby is there in 9th, and Brandon has made his way up into 10th then, so he's motoring on in his Honda NSX. He's found his way up into the top 10. Ibuprofen is there in 11th, followed by MSX and AJ to the P. What is the gap between these two guys? So AJ to the P is actually 20 seconds behind MSX then. So AJ to the P did start right at the rear of the field. It will be very interesting to see what type of time he can gain on these guys who are lapping at the front of the field. Obviously these two, MSX and AJ to the P, have made their first mandatory pit stop, and they do effectively have clean air to put some qualifying times in. I wonder if it will pay dividends later on in the race, as everyone else does battle for position. But FRT Ant is 1.1 seconds ahead of RTI Tribal. 10 seconds adrift then is THKKR, holding that 4th place position from Marky Marks. The number 14 machine, the number 4 machine, 6 seconds adrift is Marky Mark, but he has JJ Penguin in his mirrors, so he will be driving just a bit more of a defensive line just to hold off JJ Penguin, which will compromise his speed. JJ Penguin's I'd rather be in JJ Penguin's position right now, because I know I can just go on the attack and hunt down Marky Marks rather than try and defend my position, as JJ Penguin does indeed close that gap up quite dramatically in the space of 2 corners it seemed. Half a second is the gap between those guys. Obviously these conditions are treacherous and tricky, so it will catch some of these guys out, I'm sure of it, in such a long race distance. 1 hour and 40 minutes these guys will be lapping Circuit de Catalunya in these wet and windy conditions, so all credit to these guys out there. ERS Chromedix is having no problems thus far. His lead is almost out to 5 seconds then, and he's on lap number 7. Chromedix in that Bentley machine leads him round for another lap. He moves on to lap number 8. As the gap is out to 4.6 seconds. The Tribal has just closed up ever so slightly now then. He's less than a second. 0.8 is the gap, so if FRT and isn't careful, he will have Tribal all over the back of him. 12.8 seconds adrift is THKKR, so he is dropping back from these lead 3 as the laps build up. Marky Mark still 6.4 seconds adrift as he seems to pull out that gap to JJ Penguin in the latter half of the lap around Circuit de Catalunya, but JJ Penguin just comes to life in this first stages of the lap, and he puts Marky Marks under some pressure, but he seems to deal with it rather well. So Murcielago having a lonely race there in 7th place, currently some 5 seconds adrift from JJ Penguin. He is 3 seconds clear of Texas MC. Good evening everybody who's decided to join us for this race 2. Please do leave a like if you haven't already. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, every sub counts. Please let us know in the chat who you're cheering for in this race. I know we have a couple of teammates in the chat who aren't in this race currently. As ERS Chromatics completes another lap, then he's on lap number 9 and he is constantly pulling out that gap to FRT, and obviously these guys still need to make both mandatory pit stops out in the lead, as does Tribal, as does the rest of the field, but AJ to the P then is there in 12th place. He has completed his first mandatory pit stop. As I have just noticed, MSX has decided to complete both mandatory pit stops then, still with an hour and 24 minutes to go. That's a bold, risky move from MSX. That will be super intriguing to see how that develops, because I would say he's actually jumped too early there to do an hour and 24 minutes, well basically an hour and 25 minutes depending on when the leader starts his final lap, on one full tank and one set of tyres. But he does motor on and he has completed all his mandatory pit stops, so he may be one to watch as this race develops. ERS Chromatics on the other hand is miles out in front. He's now 6.3 seconds ahead of RTI Tribal. RTI Tribal and FRT and what a fantastic battle going on here. So RTI Tribal momentarily found his way past FRT Ant, but FRT Ant got him back up the chicane, and those Ferrari headlights are flashing. He's not happy at something, as these two are running nose to tail. Round the chicane they go, exiting the final turn. RTI Tribal leads FRT Ant leads RTI Tribal. Positions have swapped, the timing screens haven't updated just yet. So FRT and RTI are doing battle once more. The Ferrari man having a sniff up the inside. Is he late enough on the brakes? Not this time round, so he tucks back in behind that Audi machine, and he will save it for another day. We'll just have a quick look down the field and we'll come back to these two. We will monitor the timing screens. THKKR is running fourth. He's just ahead of MSX there on the racetrack. Obviously MSX has completed both his mandatory stops already, and he has THKKR just ahead of him, who still needs to complete both of those pits as he runs super wide. He gets out onto that slippery tarmac and into the gravel, so he needs to be careful of that one. JJ Penguin is up into 5th, so he's found his way past Marky Marks. Marky Marks has just dropped off the back of JJ Penguin, so that Mercedes machine comes to life as this race develops. That Porsche machine sliding around ever so slightly just in the background there, so he's not happy with that setup, Marky Marks. It looks a bit loose, as Murcielago is indeed closing up to the back of Marky Marks also, so JJ Penguin already 1.1 seconds ahead of Marky Marks as he leads this trio of cars round then. Up the fast right hander they go, down the back straight. Such a nice livery on that Mercedes machine, that luminous green and bright yellow. And he's certainly making it work for himself as the sun sets. I say the sun sets as the night draws in, rather. There's no sun, is there? There's a rainy day in Spain. But the gap is out to almost 2 seconds already. So JJ Penguin leads Marky Marks and Murcielago for that 5th spot. T-Sar Bobby is some 10 seconds adrift then in the 2nd Ferrari machine, as he does lose that Ferrari. He is a spinner in the chicane as we wait for him to negotiate it. There he does. So T-Sar Bobby getting it all wrong. Brandon there still in 10th place then, so he's still holding that 10th place position in the Honda NSX. He is 8.5 seconds ahead of Ibuprofen. AJ to the P is there in 12th and 15 seconds further drift. MSX Prozac is still lapping some 2 laps down, unfortunately. Still with 2 pit stops to go then. He did have that stop and go penalty, or it was a drive-through penalty rather, for a pit lane infringement. DNA Tucho brings up the rear of the field after running in 4th place early on. He seemed to just get swamped and swallowed in that mid-pack, and they were lapping ever so closely in that first 15 minutes. And then there was that unfortunate contact between a couple of cars. Some cars were sent spinning, and Prozac and DNA Tucho just find themselves at the rear of the field, unfortunately. But we will turn our attention back to Cromdex because he does complete another lap. He moves on to lap number 12. He is now 8.5 seconds ahead of FRT Ant, so certainly got that Bentley machine dialed in. RTI Tribal is there in 3rd place. Some 10 seconds adrift then, so something's gone wrong for RTI Tribal because he did momentarily get ahead of FRT Ant. So we're not sure where he's lost that one, but he finds himself 10 seconds adrift of FRT Ant all of a sudden. THKKR some 11 seconds further adrift as the GTR machine of MSX has found his way past. JJ Penguin has pulled a 3.4 second gap to Marky Marks. He's running in a solid 5th place then, JJ Penguin, as those 4-beam headlights are on as the night draws in. Around Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona. 1 hour and 17 minutes remaining for these guys out on circuit, as the rain is not letting up around here. 12 degrees is the track temperature, so those tyres will be stone cold in these wet conditions. But Murcielago has found his way past Marky Marks also, so Marky Marks not having the best of days. He's also dropped back down the field after being that beneficiary of all that coming together in the mid-pack early on. But he does just settle back down into 7th place. He's got 13 seconds on Texas MC, who is currently sitting 8th. But Marky Marks won't want to lose the back end of Murcielago. He'll want to stay on his tail. It is a long race, so anything can happen. But Texas MC is there in 8th place. T-Sar Bobby is there in 9th. He's been a spinner already in this race, so he's not having the best of days in that Ferrari machine. But he does sit in 9th place. Brandon is there in 10th. Ibuprofen is there in 11th. AJ to the P is only 7 seconds adrift now, so AJ is slowly closing. MSX is there in 13th, and these guys are really out of position because they jumped super early on the pit stops to get them out of the way, especially MSX, who jumped in within the first 20 minutes to complete both pit stops. So he is effectively having a 1 hour and 20 minute sprint race to the finish on these sets of tyres with a full tank of fuel. As we will just ride on board with AJ to the P, because that gap is now under 5 seconds, so within a space of half a lap he's closed up 2 to 3 seconds onto the back of Ibuprofen. So Ibuprofen does come into the pits to make the first of the 2 mandatory pit stops with these guys. So we will have a lap on board. AJ to the P will stay on board for the full duration of this lap. Lap number 14 for AJ to the P. He had a solid run in race number 1. He finished some 90 seconds ahead of the field. Obviously there were only 6 finishers, unfortunately. Due to connection issues with the ACC servers this week, they've gone through an update, and the connection rate and issue is very much apparent and a problem, but no such things in this race so far, which is nice to see. All starters still racing. As that Bentley machine does look so planted. Doesn't look twitchy, doesn't look slippery. He hits those braking points, he turns it in. So smooth on the transition from entry to exit phase. Smooth on the brakes. Using all the track provided. Watching those slippery curbs. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what a perfect lap of Circuit de Catalunya looks like. So AJ to the P will slowly be moving up through the field, as everybody else still needs to complete their 2 mandatory pit stops. 1 hour 13 minutes remaining, and we can now see the night drawing in those clouds over Circuit de Catalunya. That rain, that intensity of the rain is not letting up. You can see the fog and the mist coming down on the circuit, but these guys do motor on. Chromatics onto lap number 15 then. He did take pole position, he did lose the lead at the start. He was caught napping at the start of this race. He lost the lead to FRT, but he soon found his way back through, and he's now 10.6 seconds ahead of the pack. And these top 3 are spread out by 10 seconds each, so FRT and RTI have almost a 12-second gap between those 2 guys in 2nd and 3rd, and THKKI some 14 seconds of drift also. So the top 5 are completely spread out. 7.4 seconds of drift is JJ Penguin, and if he's not careful, Murcielago and Marky Marks are now starting to close back in on JJ Penguin then. So Marky Marks has kept onto the back of that Bentley machine, and he has closed up with Murcielago onto the back of JJ Penguin. So JJ Penguin is now coming under a bit of pressure. It's going to be interesting to see how he deals with that pressure, and it's very interesting to see those lines between Murcielago and JJ Penguin, how much different these guys are taking these racing lines in these wet conditions. But Murcielago is definitely closing up to the back of JJ Penguin then. So JJ Penguin is struggling at this stage of the race to keep the speed that he was originally lapping, as he's now gone defensive. He's gone defensive because he can see Murcielago all over the back of him. Those 4 beams on the Bentley will be in those mirrors, and JJ Penguin will know that Murcielago will be all over the back of him if he's not careful. Sandwiched between all this is MSX, so MSX is right behind JJ Penguin and Murcielago. He's effectively lapping faster than these guys, and he is out of position. With Marky Marks just behind MSX then, but we will ride on board with JJ Penguin, and let's see if he can keep his cool and keep Murcielago behind. Murcielago looking for a sniff then. He saw an opportunity, but he thought better of it, because we are coming through the final corner onto the start line finish straight, as they do come on to lap number 16. So JJ Penguin and Murcielago, these guys are inseparable. 0.7th of a second is these guys. Running in 5th and 6th currently. We will ride on board with Murcielago. We'll watch how this battle unfolds. As you can definitely see, this night drawing in now, these headlights becoming more apparent on our screens. One hour and 10 minutes on the clock. Murcielago looking for a move on JJ Penguin then. If I was Murcielago right now and I was being held up by JJ Penguin, I'd be thinking about getting my first mandatory pit stop out of the way. It's one of those races where you don't want to lose any time at all, and if coming into the pit stops stops that happening, that's an option I would be thinking of, because currently JJ Penguin is defending with all his might from Murcielago. Murcielago is looking for those opportunities, looking for JJ Penguin to make a mistake. As he closes the door on Murcielago, then he gets it wide but closes the door. He just needs to keep it nice and tidy through here. That's tidier than the last lap. JJ Penguin, as he just rides those sausage curves ever so slightly. You don't want to be running over those too much. And Murcielago looks to have a fantastic exit and run then on JJ Penguin. Down the start line, finish straight, these guys are going to go. Murcielago is going to be all over the back. 0.1 of a second is the gap between these two. Murcielago is going to be looking for a move up the inside. He's thinking of it, but JJ Penguin is just that late, much later on the brakes. Fantastic racing between these guys to keep it on the tarmac in these conditions. It's wet, it's rainy, it's dark, it's damp. But these guys do motor on in 5th and 6th, JJ Penguin and Murcielago. He's kept him behind for now then. But Murcielago once again is almost pushing JJ along. He's telling him, get out the way. I've got the speed on you currently, but JJ Penguin is holding his line as he is entitled to do so. And he is not letting Murcielago through whatsoever. He must be getting frustrated behind Penguin right now. Once again, Murcielago looks to have the better run coming out with the exit of that fast right-hander. He's going to be looking for a move up the inside. Penguin defends it. Is he going to send it right around the outside? Murcielago, JJ Penguin side by side. Here they go, they give each other space. That's brilliant racing between these guys, but still Penguin holds that 5th place spot. Then Murcielago is breathing down his neck, but JJ Penguin is doing all he needs to do to place that Mercedes where it needs to be, and once again he's held off Murcielago fantastically there. Well, we see round number 2 as Chromedix comes into the pits. So that was a very quick splash and dash, it seemed. It didn't seem like he was changing any tyres, because he comes straight back out, and he's going to be right behind this fantastic battle happening between Penguin and Murcielago. We won't want to get involved too much with those guys, because he is the net leader even though he's made a mandatory pit stop. So FRT Ant once again picks up the lead in this race. His lead is 11 seconds over Tribal, and then there's 23 seconds further back to THKKR. But THKKR now, that gap has come down from Penguin and Murcielago. Only 3 seconds is the gap between THKKR and Penguin. So we are fully submersed in night racing around Barcelona then. As the rain continues to fall, these conditions are going to get trickier and trickier as these guys will start to struggle with this night time. As Murcielago's got to be careful, he just got it onto the grass, and you don't want to be pushing too hard because you will get punished for it. As Murcielago almost found out then, I'm sure he had his heart in his mouth there for a second. You don't want to undo all that hard work of closing that gap to JJ Penguin. As JJ Penguin is closing that gap to THKKR, the gap is down to 2.8 seconds. As THKKR just gets past the back marker, that is probably why he's lost a chunk of time, because he's had to He's had to get past DNA Tuccio, who's running at the rear of the field. But that has allowed JJ Penguin to close right up to the back. As Murcielago is now into the pits then, so I had a feeling he was coming in around these couple of laps because he was right on the tail of JJ Penguin. And he really won't want to lose any time at all in that battle. There's still over an hour to go then, so we will see if the undercut works wonders for Murcielago against JJ Penguin. But that also does free up Chromedix ever so slightly because he won't be worried about those guys battling anymore. As I have just been disconnected from the race, but the stream is still going on, so I will get us back into the server as quickly as possible. Guys, it's saying I'm currently disconnected from the internet, which is something we've all been struggling with this week. Let me see if I can get back in.